Everyone thinks smart people just know more facts, more answers, more everything, but that's completely wrong. The real difference isn't what they know, it's how they think. And here's the scary part. Most people will never figure this out, not because they're not smart enough, but because nobody ever showed them. I used to think intelligence was about grades, about memory, about knowing all the right answers. Then I watched someone with average grades run circles around people with PhDs, same room, same information, completely different results. It wasn't knowledge, it was thinking. And once I understood that, everything changed. Today I'm going to show you 5 thinking habits that separate people who win at life from people who just survive it. These aren't complicated, but once you see them, you can't unsee them. Watch the next 6 minutes, and I promise you'll never think the same way again. Most people think winning an argument means being right. Smart people know something completely different. When someone disagrees with you, what's your first move? Most people fight back. They collect evidence, raise their voice, try to prove the other person wrong. Smart people do the opposite. They get curious. They say things like, "Help me understand where you're coming from. What happened that made you feel this way? Walk me through your thinking." Real questions, not traps. And something interesting happens when you do this. People stop defending themselves. They start actually thinking out loud. The walls come down. That's when real conversations happen. That's when minds change, sometimes even your own. You can't force agreement, but you can create the conditions where someone changes their own mind without a single argument. One bad day, one rejection, one failure. Most people treat these like final verdicts. They fail one test and decide they're not smart. One person says no and they decide they're not enough. One rough morning and suddenly everything feels like it's collapsing. Smart people pull back the camera. They don't see one bad test. They see a signal. Maybe the strategy needs to change. Maybe sleep is the actual problem. Maybe one specific area needs work, not everything. Rejection isn't proof you're not good enough. It's data, it's feedback, it's information you didn't have before. When you zoom out, problems stop being threats. They become puzzles, and puzzles always have solutions. How much energy did you lose today worrying about something you had zero power over? What someone thinks of you, whether it'll rain, what might go wrong next week. All of that worry does exactly one thing. It drains you. Smart people follow one simple rule. If I can't control it, I don't give it my energy. Can't control the weather. Bring an umbrella. Can't control what people think. Control how you show up. Can't control getting the job. Control how prepared you are. When you stop leaking energy on things outside your reach, you suddenly have more of it for the things that actually matter. The people who seem calm under pressure, they're not less stressed. They're just more selective about what gets their attention. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. The moment a conversation pauses, they rush to fill it. Say whatever comes to mind first. Talk just to avoid the quiet. Smart people sit in it. They think before speaking. They listen more than they talk. They let people finish their full thought before responding. Here's something most people never notice. The first person to speak isn't usually the smartest person in the room. The person who thinks before speaking usually is, and silence does something else most people miss. When you pause before answering, people assume your answer matters. When you actually listen without jumping in, people feel genuinely heard. And the person who makes someone feel heard, that person earns trust without saying a word. Try this tomorrow. When someone asks you something important, count to 3 before you respond. Just 3 seconds. Your answer will be sharper, and people will actually lean in to hear it. Someone says something rude. You fire back immediately. Something goes wrong. You shut down or complain right away. No gap between what happened and what you did. Smart people create that gap. When something bothers them, they take one breath first. They ask themselves, is this actually worth my energy? What's the smartest response here? That one pause changes everything. 2 people get the same bad news at work. One reacts immediately, says things they'll regret, damages relationships built over years. The other pauses, takes a breath, responds calmly. Same situation. One looks reactive, the other looks like a leader. The person who stays calm while everyone else is reacting has all the power in the room, not because they feel nothing, but because they chose their response instead of just having one. Here's what all of this comes down to. You don't need a perfect memory. You don't need straight A's or a fancy degree. You don't need to be the loudest or most confident person in the room. You just need to think differently than most people do. Ask instead of argue. Zoom out instead of panic over one bad moment. Focus only on what you can actually control and let go of what you can't. Use silence as a tool instead of something to be afraid of, and pause before you react to anything. Most people won't do these things. They'll keep arguing, worrying, reacting, and wondering why life feels out of control, but you're not most people. You watched this far. That already makes you different. Pick one habit, just one. Practice it for the next 7 days, then come back and tell me what changed. Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. If this video helped you think differently, hit that like button.